The political panel all-stars up shortly, Whānau. But now this week's extra 1-on-1 and 10 with left-wing activist Sean Ackland on the polls, media bias, and what the left need to do to win the 2026 election. Kia ora, comrade. Welcome to the show and thank you for being available to the Fourth Estate. Your democracy is grateful.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Bomber. This is a bucket list moment for yours truly. I'm happy to be here. Long-time fan.
Sean, my little brother loves you and is constantly resharing your content, as are many, many, many others who engage with the criticisms of this government. As a left-wing online activist, how do you think the left are feeling going into this election?
I feel like I feel like a good way to describe it would be they are beaten but mobilized. They are an open rebellion of everything that this government has stood for. I feel like one positive that you could take away from this government is that they have really kind of made a generation of people and social media users a lot more civically engaged. For example, I had no idea what an ombudsman was before this election. I had no idea that we had a human rights commission prior to this government. So if there's ever one takeaway, if there's ever one positive that Christopher Luxon's government has given us, it is a more civically engaged voter base.
This government's meanness and gleeful ignorance are some of the most extreme I've ever seen. They strangle the common good for their donors' interests by using an anti-treaty, anti-Māori, anti-beneficiary, anti-worker, anti-disabled, anti-renter and anti-environment agenda. Yet, the polls are telling us this election will go down to the wire. If this government is so terrible, why haven't we won people back to the left, do you think?
I would almost disagree. I think if you look at the polling, if you were to have this election tomorrow, you would likely see another Luxon government come forward. However, Labour are consistently polling ahead of National.
Yes, they are.
Greens are really having a moment. We're not factoring in opportunity.
Yep.
And as much as firm as Winston Peters is in his position that he will never form a coalition with Labour, let's keep in mind that beside the election of 2017, Winston Peters has always gone with whoever wins.
Yeah.
So let's not be too quick to rule him out. So I think, I don't think it's as dire as what the polls are suggesting for the left.
I think part of the issue is mainstream media framing. When Labour announced their public transport fare cap, there was weeks of hypercritical focus on the cost going up if it was a positive policy. Yet, ACT promised to cut half the entire government, while New Zealand First promised a $1 billion corporate welfare cuddle for oil and gas, alongside stripping 700,000 permanent residents of their voting rights, and the mainstream media just ignore those policies. Does that bias impact voters?
I think it used to. I don't think it's sticking as much as it has in the past. I feel like the reason that you were seeing the likes of myself, the likes of Bree Elliott, who you had on last week, and Tanya Waikato kind of coming into the mainstream space would be because people have rejected the old mainstream, the old Fourth Estate, because of what I would say is a very clear, for as much hand-wringing as the right like to do about us having a left-wing media. I'm sorry. Let's check the scorecard between the New Zealand Herald, between the Platform, between Duncan Garner, between News Talk ZB.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry. What world are you living in? By the way, that's off the top of my head.
Yes. Yes.
So I completely reject this idea that the media has some kind of left bias. I'm like, Citation needed, bro.
People who claim the New Zealand Herald is left-wing. I just like, you must be Jim Greenan. I'm all about the math, and the simple truth right now, staring at those polls, is that the left is going to need top to get to 51%. Can the left activists accept that? And if they can't, where do we get those numbers to hit 51% without top?
The left activists, like myself, can absolutely accept top. I think top need to accept us. Because as much as top love to present themselves as a centre party, you can't tell me that there are going to be a lot of right-wing voters out there who would be in support of a land tax, who would be in support of a UBI. These are policy positions that are to the left of Labour. So why would Top ever think to position themselves as a centrist party when they are, I'm not going to go ahead and say that those policies are necessarily left-wing. I will say they appeal far more to left-wing voters than they do right-wing voters. Right. So I'm growing really frustrated with Top. And their kind of position that, we'll work with both sides. Christopher Luxon himself made it very clear. I think Christopher Luxon has a severe case of liabilities. The man is incapable of telling the truth. When he said yesterday that he is not going to form a coalition with Opportunity, I think that's the first time we heard him say the truth. I 1,000% believe that he would never form a coalition with Opportunity. And I think if you're a serious person within Opportunity, you would know that's true. So I want them to commit themselves to the left. And by the way, when they do, whatever votes or whatever support they think they're going to lose in disenfranchised national voters, they will more than make up for in the amount of left-wing voters who only thing keeping them from supporting Top is the fact that they're still committing to Luxon.
That's right. Finally, comrade, what do you think is at stake this election?
Everything. No, where do you want me to start? They've already taken away so much. Like, let's keep in mind, I want the audience to understand that 400,000 people voted within the window that this government has closed off for voting.
Yes.
Meaning that if they win by that margin, or a kind of a margin. And by the way, that 400,000 people, most of them definitely would have voted for the left-wing parties.
They do. So 80% vote left.
So 80%, there you go. So if they win by that amount, I think there's a very strong case to be made.
But they've gerrymandered the election,
they effectively took this election.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Like, I think what we're looking at losing is asset sales. I think RNZ should be put on notice. And I would be feeling a little bit nervous if I was them. Yeah. I think we would see education, the charter school program.
Yes.
I think that's a Trojan horse to privatize our education sector.
Preach.
When I say everything, I'm not being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
When I say everything, I mean everything that makes us New Zealand, everything that we built this country from.
Thank you, Sean, for sharing your insight and your oversight this evening. Where can people follow you?
Most people know me from Facebook. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram. It's just Sean Ackland. Sean Ackland, author, if you're on Facebook.
All power to your arm, comrade. Good luck in your battles. We'll talk again soon.
Yoda, thank you. Bye.
Be well, my friend. Be well.